Hello everyone, welcome back to Larry's Anything Goes. Hopefully you're having a great day. If you've been watching Larry's Anything Goes programming, you know that we are not only providing great financial intelligence content as much as possible by interviewing other financial professionals, professionals in the travel industry, real estate industry, etc. and so forth, but we provide various services when it comes to specific products that we sell, from anything that you would actually find on Amazon or actually at Walmart, etc. and so forth. And we are actually providing specific products due to today's current crisis and whatnot to ensure that we provide the right services and products that you need at a reasonable price when it comes to medical face masks, when it comes to hand sanitizer, and when it comes to latex gloves and things of that nature, and etc. and so forth, toilet paper, paper towels. But we have what you need. Also, family, don't forget that Larry's Anything Goes is a part of an affiliate marketing network known as Gold Standard Partners, where you have the opportunity to buy cryptocurrency and allow others to invest with you as becoming an affiliate marketing partner. And obviously, if they purchase a package with the program, you're able to make money off their package purchases and make money off of their crypto purchases and things of that nature. If you want to join, please follow the links in the description, and I'll give you a call as soon as you sign up and purchase a package, and we'll go from there. But definitely, it's all about the best way to make money moves is to have currency with one another and to ensure that currency is always being spoken of on all levels, so it benefits everyone and not just one specific person. That's a lot of things that people forget about. So think about joining the program and we'll be able to go from there. But if not, either way, it's always appreciated. And thank you for watching. And hopefully you guys have a great day and continuously make money moves so you don't live broke like a fool. Take care. As you can see, with our various products, we have our financial apparel. As you see, wearing There's Anything Goes t-shirt, financial intelligence is sexy, face masks, latex gloves, things of that nature, to obviously ensure the safety of you and your family all at the same time. We want to ensure that you get the best products and see the actual products that we're actually providing for you, and giving you another view of not only the shirts and the medical masks, but actually another view of actual latex gloves and the actual hand sanitizer. Because one thing we've learned throughout this unfortunate crisis is that we have to take more precautionary measures to ensure not only the safety for ourselves, but for our families. And having a great pair of hand sanitizers, latex gloves, and medical face masks will ensure that safety. And with all that being said, hopefully you guys will check out our online store. We have the various products that you see here. With a couple of clicks, especially if you're paying via PayPal, it makes life that much easier for you to purchase our various products, especially during this unfortunate situation. You see the apparel from Larry's Anything Goes. We have the medical products when it comes to hand sanitizer, latex gloves, medical face masks, and things of that nature, and various other products. So please check out Larry's Anything Goes. Support small local businesses. We greatly appreciate it, and hopefully that you have a good day. How goes the family? Welcome back to Larry's Anything Goes. Hopefully, you guys are having a great and exceptional day. It's Sunday, snowing in certain parts of the country, so be safe, stay warm, and all that great stuff. And as I always say, do the great 3 free things: like, share, and subscribe. It's all good in the neighborhood. But anyways, so let's get into it. Today I'm talking about 3 subject matters. It's been a minute. It's been a minute since I have just gone off the rip like cuff like this, talking about specific subject matters like this. But today we're going to start with Mack 10, one of my favorite rappers. I didn't know where Inglewood, California was until Mack 10 came out as a rapper. Okay, nobody repped Inglewood, California harder than Mack 10. And now you got like a rapper like D Smoke and whatnot. So Mack 10's the OG. So I give nothing but love and respect to him. I'm not knocking him because I grew up in Woodbridge, Virginia, right outside of Washington, D.C. But I remember when Mack 10 had his own record label. It was called Who Bangin' Records. I remember when him and Fat Joe made this movie called Thicker Than Water. Was it the best movie? No, but for a teenager who was into West Coast hip hop, living on the East Coast, it was a great movie, especially given the fact that you had the mixture of the East Coast and the West Coast, because you had Fat Joe and Big Pun in the movie. Cypress Hill in the movie, Bone Thugs. You had the Midwest flavor. Bone Thugs and Harmony was in the movie. The rapper Bad A, rest in peace to him. I know he died a couple of years ago in the Riverside Jail, I believe, allegedly. You had Crazy Bone and Wishbone in the movie. Ice Cube is in the movie. You know, the whole West Side Connection, Dub C, the whole. You know, it was a beautiful thing. But anyways, I did not realize that there was a fallout, because I was wondering, because even what was it last year when I went to see Ice Cube perform for the first time, and I got like, it was a dream come true. This is an old school rappy nerd moment right here, but I got to see, especially in Ontario, California, I got to see Method Man and Redman perform. I got to see the whole Bone Thugs and Harmony perform, including Wishbone. Um, what is it? Oh, is that Wishbone or Fleshbone? Yeah, Fleshbone. Yeah, Fleshbone was in the movie, not Wishbone. But Fleshbone was there. All the Bone Thugs and Army was there. I got to see Warren G, Corrupt and Daz, the Dog Pound. I got to see Ice Cube and Dub C. I got to see Exhibit. I got to see, yeah, I said Warren G. I got to see Sugar Free. I got to see so many other artists. I know there's somebody else I'm forgetting. Cypress Hill. It was a great freaking show. So I'm glad I got to see it. And it's like, as I get older and as all these other artists get older, I'm knowing now that I need to take advantage of going to more concerts to see these people before they unfortunately pass away or they just stop touring and whatnot. So, but I'll leave it at that. But anyways, so back to Mack 10. So the article says, despite the West Side Connection ties, Mack 10 and Ice Cube haven't reconciled in nearly 2 decades. Mack 10 said in a recent interview with Bootleg Kev, Mack 10's legal name is Dietrich Demon Rawlinson, talking about his relationship with Ice Cube and how he hasn't spoken to Ice Cube since the early 2000s. He says, and I'm paraphrasing because I'm not trying to cuss here, but Mack 10 says, I mess with who mess with me, dig? That's where I'm at with it. If you mess with me, I mess with you. But if it's forget me, then it's forget you. And obviously you can decipher what Mack 10 is really saying. And now that he's 51 years old, he says, I ain't seen him or talked to him, being Ice Cube, in nearly 20 years. So there it is. And that he admitted he heard that bits and pieces of Cube's Mount Westmore album was with Snoop Dogg, E40, and Too Short. He insisted that West Side Connection also, which included Dub C, was a movement. Now, and I don't disagree with that. And the Mount Westmore movement is a different thing, especially given the fact that you have 2 rappers from Los Angeles, Ice Cube and Snoop Dogg, and 2 rappers from the Bay Area, Too Short and E40. It's a very beautiful thing. And whenever they go on tour, I'm definitely going to go check them out. Would love to see Snoop but Ice Cube again, Too Short and E40. Definitely would love to see that. And the movement of the West Side Connection, it was a big thing, because if you lived on the West Side, and because I remember during that time frame when they came out, I was in the 8th grade of middle school, And they said, if you lived on the west side of your town, make all them fools bow down. So if you lived anywhere in America on the west side of the town or whatnot, people would scream out West Side. They made screaming out West Side more popular than Tupac did before Tupac got killed. Okay, so the West Side Connection was a movement, and they wasn't taking any nonsense. In a sense, I looked at the West Side Connection in a sense as a LA version of the Wu-Tang Clan, because they would spit a lot of knowledge. They bring some gangsterness with it. They all had 3 different personalities: Dub C, Ice Cube, and Mack 10, and that's one aspect of it. And then another thing to take into consideration, I believe Mack 10 was affiliated with Bloods, and I believe that Dub C was affiliated with the Crips. Like I said, allegedly. I'm not gonna. All I know is I'd see one Mack 10 wear red, Dub C wear blue, Ice Cube would always wear all black. So I'm saying allegedly because I'm not going to try to put any false information out there. And it's not even that serious anyways, to even do any research on that. But anyways, at the end of the day, they were a great movement, and they even dissed other West Coast artists, i.e., Cypress Hill, with the song called "King of the Hill." But the fact that I remember, and I just remember the greatness that they would bring to the stage, and even when they did squash the East Coast West Coast beef, how they made a great connection with Fat Joe and Big Pun, rest his soul. So it was a beautiful thing, and Mack 10 had his own record label called Who Bangin', and then he brought other artists along, hardcore LA artists from the street. So it was a beautiful thing. Now I remember at the time, like I said, I'm going to my old school rap geek moment right now. I remember at the time when I was ticked off at Mack 10. You know, being a teenager, being naive, it is what it is. Hey, Aunt Betty, hopefully you're doing well. Thank you for tuning in. Please hit the like button. I greatly appreciate that. Hopefully everything's great with you and the family down in North Carolina. But I remember, what was it? I remember Mack 10 signed with Cash Money, and I wasn't a big fan of Cash Money at the time. When it came to Southern hip hop, I was more of an Outkast, No Limit Soldier, kind of, Cash Money had a couple of good hits, but I was more of when it came to, Scarface, UGK, I was more of a fan of that music than Cash Money music. So I didn't understand Mack 10 going with, because it seemed like his label Who Bangin' dismantled, and he went with Cash Money. I'm sure it was an economic play. Like I said, I was a fan. All I cared about was the music. I didn't think about the music industry as a music business. So I look at it like that. But it is what it is. And like I said, in the mid 90s, because Mack 10 came out before the West Side Connection. In the mid 90s, like I said, West Side Connection joined forces. The album Bow Down, which I remember I played the heck out of that. I still think I got the original CD of Bow Down. But yeah, I played the heck out of that album. And then their second album, which was the final album, called Terrorist Threats. 2 years later, Mack 10 officially quit the group after falling out with Ice Cube. In an interview with Vlad TV, one of my non-favorite YouTube programs, in 2020, Mack 10 talked about the departure from the West Side Connection, detailing that he had allegedly a financial rift with Ice Cube's brother-in-law. And he said, and I quote, "It was just an unfortunate situation as far as what came out of all of that." He said, "It ain't like that just happened. It went to Cube about 4 or 5 times before the conflict jumped off and told him to correct the situation. That's the part that everyone leaves out," he stated. He also added that if it was his wife's brother, I would have told him he can't mess my money up, and he can't be out of line with nobody, and I'm getting down with. And if you got that big of a problem with him, stay at home. My wife's brother wouldn't have stopped nothing for me with him. So that's the gist of that. And like I said, at the end of the day, it's unfortunate that after all these years, because I was always wondering, I would always see Dub C with Ice Cube, but I never, because after a while, especially by the time 2008 and 2010, in my life, I was focused on my paper. I wasn't really following celebrities like that. I barely follow them now. But it's an unfortunate situation because we're talking about rap legends, one, and two, at this point in their lives, they're all in their 50s. It's like squash it and move on with your life. Doesn't mean you guys gotta kick it every day and hang out every day and things of that nature. But I just think it's time to, if Mack 10 sees this, I got nothing but love and respect for you, and I hope that you and Ice Cube can work it out. And the same thing with Ice Cube, because you guys are smart businessmen, came from the hard streets of LA, you came from the 80s generation, 80s, 90s generations, when people think the crime rate is bad now, you don't know nothing until you saw the crime rate in the United States of America all over the country compared to the 80s and the 90s. So that's just me keeping it real in that aspect. But one thing I will take into consideration is that Mack 10, you're nothing but a living legend, and I got nothing but love and respect for you. And I just leave it at that, But I know, because one thing I always respected about Mack 10, he was just always a real one. He was always going to let you know how he felt about a situation. I remember when he was on that show, LA Live. Like, I really wish, as a grown man, I wish in a sense, I was a grown man during that time frame to be able to be in Los Angeles at that time frame, because I think it just would have been a way more better experience compared to when I went there 11 years ago. But it's all good in the neighborhood either way. But I remember the show LA Live, and I remember the John, his name, great, brilliant comedian. And he was in Mack 10 and MC8, another great rapper from Compton. And he was like, so, you doing this to, be a good symbol for the kids. And Mack 10 was like, yeah, but I'm really doing this for the money. he was like, I'm gonna keep it real with you. I don't mind helping kids out and being a good role model for the kids, but he's like, nah, brother, this is all about the money, and ain't a darn thing funny. So that's just what it was. And I actually love and respect that. My man's like, yo, this is about money, fool. This ain't about nothing else. I'm a businessman. He's like, I didn't become a rapper just to become a superstar. I became a rapper to become a millionaire. He's like, hey, I'm from the bottom of the barrel when it comes to Inglewood, California. In Inglewood, California, compared to how he grew up compared to today, because it's been gentrified like every other major city. It's a whole different story, a whole different kettle of fish. So I'm gonna leave it at that. Now, the Tiger Woods part, let's get to that. Because at this point, with Tiger Woods, it's just funny. The amount of money he lost with his last wife, who was a nanny. And here's my thing. Before I even get into all the information, because most people know, I don't really got to get into it that much, but let's just keep it real. If I'm a man where I'm at in my life. I'm not messing around with no freaking women that are below me. I'm just going to call it what it is. Now, I know that Tiger Woods being, he's not a complete idiot, but I know he's part of that socially awkward generation where he has to be around, well, not generation, group of people, because every generation has had socially awkward people. But he's from that socially awkward group of people where it seems like they can't just, they can't just go, beat them in a sense like Michael Jordan and have people sign non-disclosure agreements and go from there so they can protect themselves, or just stop messing around with females, period. Just stay to yourself. I mean, because especially to me, when you get a certain age, it's just time to, even if you're not going to do the whole 1960s thing, be married and have a family, that's fine, because I know he has children. But yeah, I would just think it comes to a point where, look, you need to stop fooling around with females that have these crazy tendencies, or fooling around with females that ain't got nothing going on for themselves, that are just strictly going for your money and the fame and fortune and all that good stuff. Because that's the downside of being a celebrity. I always say, if I made half the money, just half, not even all, half the money the celebrities make, you wouldn't hear a peep out of me. But honestly, even if I was in that category, I wouldn't even mess around with nobody. I think I'd just be by myself most of the time, because everybody's literally out to get you. Regardless of what state you live in, regardless of what country you live in, everybody's out to get you, especially in the social media age. Things can come out just like that. So that's my whole thing, just keeping it real, family. I'm just like, the tiger. And this isn't defamation, because like I said, this is all public record, all this information I'm putting out there. Because Tiger Woods' attorney says, like I said, his attorney says that his ex is seeking $30 million in a lawsuit, which, they had no tenancy agreement. And that's another thing. I remember my mother would always say, hey, be careful who you let live in your house. And be careful playing house, as people like to say, you're playing house. Now, the whole marriage thing, I don't believe in marriage from a legal aspect of it. Now, I believe in it, and I don't get into the religious aspects. I'm not religious. I'm not a Christian or Muslim. If you are, that's cool. I don't have any issues with you. I don't ever talk bad about anybody's faith or belief. That's your business. It's not mine. It's like it's my business, not yours, when it comes to my life. But I don't believe in the whole construct, the legal constructs of marriage in the United States of America, because it is a profitable business. People can get. I always say, Little Duval said the realest thing ever. He said, he doesn't believe in marriage. So Shannon Sharp was like, why? He said, would you sign a contract that doesn't benefit you? Stay woke. And when I heard that, that was one of the realest things I've ever heard, number one. But then two, my man said, because I was like, as a man that has things going on in his life, why would you sign a contract that doesn't benefit you from a financial standpoint? I can't answer that question. Now, if you believe, because the crazy concept is, marriage was the thing that happened. Arranged marriages was the more common thing in all cultures all over the world, whether if it was quote unquote Europe, Africa, Central South America, the Caribbean tribes. People got married not out of love, but out of, hey, survival, necessity, growing, things that they even have some cultures that are like that even in America. People join farms. If you look at Coming to America too, even though the movie sucked, it was terrible. I will say that all day, every day. So I love the cast, love everybody in it, but the movie was garbage. I saw it one time. But one tidbit of the movie that Wesley Snipes was the adjoining nation right next door to Zamunda, and Wesley Snipes' country was suffering, and he wanted to be able to take advantage of a lot of the resources that Zamunda had. He wanted to follow old school tradition of having one of Eddie Murphy's daughters being the king of Zamunda. His daughters marry one of his sons in order for them to join the nations, and so that they could have more of a trade and commerce and things of that nature. Marriage is a business. Marriage is a business. Marriage is a business. People don't want to hear that, and I know I'm not married, but I'm talking about numbers and not your feelings here. Marriage is a business. Everything in the United States of America, I can't speak about other countries, everything is a business. All right, let's just keep it real on that aspect. All right. Now you probably say, why am I ranting and going and reaching and all this other stuff? Because number one, it's true. You can't argue with these specific facts and whatnot. Men and women can get financially raped in a divorce lawsuit. Court systems make a lot of money. Local governments make a lot of money. Governments, period, make a lot of money after people getting divorced or people being married. It is what it is. So, and it's not anti-American, it's not anti-anything, it's just a reality. I know people will try to twist my words and saying that you're being anti-American. No, I'm not. I'm pro being smart. In America, it's a beautiful country. You have the opportunity to play chess, but most people play checkers because it's the easiest form of doing things, going into things without truly thinking about it, thinking about the specific repercussions. Now, a person will think about the repercussions of getting a speeding ticket. A person will think about the repercussions of raping somebody, killing somebody, things of that nature. Now, I know these are extreme things I'm talking about, but forget about, let's just go with the speeding tickets or a parking ticket, simple stuff that doesn't really hurt anybody, okay? People will think about the repercussions that they have to pay and possibly get points on their license, maybe go to a driving school and whatnot, all right? People will think about those repercussions, but most times people do not think of the repercussions of being able to have a kid, even though it's a beautiful thing to bring life into this world, but there are repercussions like there is anything. Getting married. What if things don't work out? People can love each other, support each other, but years can go by and people can fall out of love with each other. These are things that happen. That's why I'm actually in favor now more. I never thought I would hear myself say this. I'm actually in favor now more of arranged marriage as it's a business discussion that's taking place. There's a business discussion taking place. It's not just the feelings and romance and all this other stuff. They're getting down to the turkey and whatnot. And I've known people that stay married just so. I remember one guy, I was 22, 23 years old. Never forget this guy. I'm not going to say his name, but I never forget. My man did not, and I've told the story before, but he wanted to get a divorce from his wife, but he didn't want to do it because he knew that she was going to take his pension in the divorce. All right, his military pension. He worked hard to get it. He was 20 years in the Navy, and he stayed married. I wonder if he's still married now. He stayed married to his wife, but he ended up getting his own place. He said, "Hey, we'll legally be married, but I'm going to legally live someplace else." He rented out a basement in somebody's house because he didn't want, and they had 2 kids and everything. And then I can't tell you how many men and women who stay in a marriage because they had that it's cheaper to keep them mindset, and they're the most miserable people on the planet. So, like I said, the legal documentation aspects of being married, I'm not for it. I'm just not. It is what it is. I don't mind people sharing a home with one another, but even then, you got to have a contract. And if you do get married, I think everybody should have some sort of a contract, prenuptial agreement that protects people financially, because people can flip the switch on you. People do crazy things. People that are in law enforcement know this. People that work for any agency that has to dealing with people's behavioral sciences and things of that nature. People can flip the switch, flip the script on you at any moment in life. So why not have something that's going to protect you financially? And then if you make mistakes, people do make mistakes, and to me, it shouldn't be against the law to make a mistake. Like if you end up having sex with somebody else or cheating on your wife or husband or whatnot, it ain't the end of the world. Now to the release, yeah, it's the end of the world. It's not the end of the world to Larry. So it is what it is. It's the end of the world when you kill somebody, rape somebody, do actual physical bodily harm to somebody. That's a different story. But but everybody wants to be the moral police, and I don't got time for that nonsense. Unless there's an actual and in certain states, it is actually against the law to cheat on your spouse. I think in North Carolina, and my mom's side of the family is in North Carolina, I think that if you cheat on your spouse in North Carolina, not only can your spouse sue you, but your spouse can sue the person that you cheated on them with. So that's why I said you really just look at the marriage aspect from a financial aspect and not the love and security, because no documentation or vow before God needs to make it's going to ever make me say, yeah, I'm going to be faithful to somebody. And I think any respectable adult can say that, hey, I'm just going to keep it real. This is my opinion. If you disagree, that's fine. I don't think any respectable adults going to say that, yeah, that's going to immediately make me not want to cheat on my significant other, whether it's man or woman. That's going to immediately make me say, yes, I'm going to be faithful at all times. That's just not a guarantee. And it never freaking really was, because people will say, well, nowadays it's worse because of social media. Well, here's the crazy part. People have been cheating on their spouses since the beginning of time. The only difference is now you just have more access to people to do it. But it's been going on since the beginning of time. And that's why I laugh when people say that. But what do I know, right? So anyways, now bear in mind, this lawsuit did take place October of last year. But the response filed Friday in the 19th Judicial Court in Martin County, Florida, claims that Tiger Woods never negotiated any written or oral tenancy agreement with Herman, his former ex. It goes on to say that following Woods ending the relationship on October 13th, 2022, he arranged for Herman to stay at a local luxury resort and provided funds she could apply towards a new residence. Woods' attorney also said that Herman is suing the Jupiter Island Homestead Trust instead of Woods because to avoid an agreement plaintiff made to attributes with Mr. Woods. Herman suit, which is seeking $30 million in damages, alleges that the trust convinced her to pack for a vacation, and when she arrived at the airport, told her she had been locked out of her residence and would not be allowed to return. Because Tiger Woods at least did the smart thing by putting his home in a trust. And I think anybody that has any means, anything financial to lose, if you can put your residence in the trust, because the rules of engagement are different. I'm not going to act like I'm a lawyer, but the rules of engagement are different in regards to suing, because she's not specifically suing Tiger Woods. She's suing his trust. So the different rules apply, because he wanted to protect himself, especially after all the amount of money he had to shell out for the last wife. But my personal opinion is, and this is just me, and Tiger, if you're listening, do not ever have a woman move in your house ever again. If you're gonna have a girlfriend, or if you're not planning on legally getting married, and even then, you better have a great prenuptial agreement and ensure it stays updated to financially protect yourself. But at this point in your life, brother, stop letting women move into your house. Okay. And at this point in your life, majority of the women who are younger than you that are interested in you is because of your money. You know that. Come on now. Any man in that position knows that. Any woman in that position knows that. You've had situations where J-Lo's dated younger men. So it is what it is. Is that against the law? No. But it's all about protecting yourself, one. And then two, it's like I always say, everything, and I mean everything, has to do with business and money. Business and money. But people don't want to hear that. They want to hear that you start people in 2023 that want to live in fantasy world, and that's your business. I'm not going to knock it, but don't get mad at the people who don't buy into the fantasy world anymore. I just leave it at that. Anyways, all right. So last but not least, people that got kidnapped in Mexico. This isn't anything to laugh at whatsoever. But before I even get into that, the situation with Tiger Woods is I'm just using this as an example. There's a growing segment of people, men and women, that don't want to get married anymore. and for reasons, or even get into a relationship anymore, or even have anybody, definitely even have anybody move into their home without an actual written tenancy agreement in any state that you live in, because you have to, like, we're living in one of the most cutthroat societies that there's ever been. And that's one thing I can say. I think we're living in a great time, but I think we are living in one of the most cutthroat societies that it's ever been. Because if you look at today's world, regardless of sitting in the White House, governor's house, and mayor's house, because I know people love to make that stupid argument, and that's a dead 20-year ago discussion. It's not for 2023. We live in a time frame where you have slowly but surely generations of people who are not going to be able to afford to buy a home. Okay, because of inflation, because of the ever-changing job market, and because of people not passing down real estate within their family. That's one very big aspect of thing. When people want to talk about family, they don't want to talk about family operating as a corporation. Majority of the time, people want to talk about family when it comes to what can I get from them, what they did to me, and maybe it's nice, soft sob story that things that happened years ago, but nothing from an economic standpoint. So that's why I always commend the families, specifically the immigrant families, who get involved in doing these specific things in regards to passing down real estate, passing down cars, passing down businesses, passing down other specific skill sets that people can learn to become better husbands, better wives, girlfriends, boyfriends, cohabitants, whatever you call, whatever it may be. But they're doing it in the right manner and not just doing it from what society's telling them to do. But the women have gotten smarter, but the men have gotten smarter, meaning that a lot of young guys don't even want to be, and I'm not a big fan of this, but hey, a lot of young guys are more satisfied with playing video games and having porn than they are trying to talk to dating somebody, whether, if you're gay, straight, whatever, whatever the case may be. More and more people are becoming it's becoming more acceptable to just love your technology more than you do actual person, because it's the whole fear of being let down and fear of being hurt. And this goes on men, women, everybody. I'm not making this a one-sided statement. This is going for men, women, and everybody. That's one thing. And then once again, so you have people that are scared of getting hurt, but then you have people that are scared of getting hurt financially, being taken to the cleaners. It's like, because let's just say not even just getting, but becoming a parent, like it is. I know a lot of people that I went to high school with, a lot of females who have not put their kid's father on child support, and they should be lucky, because I know I've seen so many women that have raped men financially, but with good reason, because the men are pieces of crap. But then sometimes you got women that are pieces of crap. Like I said, it's even ball field. I'm not going to play gender roles, play gender wars, play gender side. I'm not doing that nonsense. But what I'm saying is, because a piece of crap is a piece of crap, regardless of your race, religion, gender, or any of that nonsense. That's just something to take into consideration. But one thing I will say is that you have a lot of people that it's going to be normal to be single. It's going to be normal to not have a family. It's going to be normal to not be able to afford to buy a home. You have big firms like J.P. Morgan and Morgan Stanley buying up residential neighborhoods, or buying plots of land and creating residential neighborhoods that are going to be in the neighborhoods that are you will not be able to allow to buy a home in those neighborhoods, because they know that they see there's going to be generations of people who will not be able to qualify to buy a home, because they don't have the right credit score, they don't have enough savings account, and they don't have the right amount of they don't make a good enough living. And there's going to be a lot of people that a lot of wealth is going to be lost because of the lack of freaking the lack of freaking home ownership, because home ownership has helped me tremendously own houses. Home ownership has helped me tremendously. To own businesses, so to sell the products online and things of that nature. Home ownership has helped me a lot in that aspect. And that's just one thing to take into consideration. That is one thing to take into consideration. It's like it's Sorry, I'm losing my train of thought here. But anyways, that's just one thing to take into consideration is that so many freaking homes, a lot of wealth is going to be lost from a generation perspective because they don't own homes. I've been able to take equity lines of credit at a home and build more wealth, buy more stocks, bonds, cryptocurrency, and buy more real estate. Because of owning real estate, and the fact that there is a movement of people who is not of generations. I'm talking 3 to 5 generations after me that are not going to be able to afford to buy a home. That's something to think about. That's scary, but that's something to think about. Okay, on some realness. But anyway, I just wanted to get into that because it's just like the way that, and I even see a lot of people, including myself, just like older people, just like, look, I can do bad by myself. That old school saying, one, and then two, I don't need to work. The thought of getting married and having children, it's a different world nowadays. For a lot of people, it's just a different world. Like doing those things, like it's more of a risk than it ever was before in today's world. But a lot of people don't look at it like that, but I do. Speaking of risk, all right. Speaking of risk, so what happened? Unfortunately, this is this story that happened that's broken out a couple of days ago. These 4 individuals who were kidnapped and 2, unfortunately, were killed in Mexico. And it was sad. It was crazy, and another thing to just take into consideration is that I can't believe I believe they drove from North Carolina to Mexico, to get a BBL, and I didn't realize it was such a big industry because I know that, me, going to Texas, I've heard, and having friends who works in customs and homeland security, it's a very normal thing for Americans to go to Mexico and other parts of the world to get medications because it's cheaper. They go to the pharmacy, as they say in Latin America, La Farmacia. They'll be able to go to the pharmacy. They will go to have certain cosmetic surgery done in Latin American countries or other countries around the world, not just Latin America, because it's so much cheaper. And that's just one of the things that, because even a lot of people don't understand this. A lot of times people will marry Canadians because, quote unquote, the healthcare system in Canada it's not necessarily free because people's taxes pay into it. But in order for you to be able to take advantage of the system, you have to be I believe, a legal resident. I know you have to be a citizen, one, and then two, you have to be a legal resident in Canada. I believe, and a lot of times people marry Canadians just so that they can go drive to Canada or fly to Canada in order for them to get healthcare services. So people that in European countries. Now, am I dogging the U.S. American medical industry? No, because I have plenty of friends and family who work in it, and I got nothing but love and respect for it. But it's just all about the dollars. This isn't about your feelings. It's all about dollars make sense. And if people can't afford something, then they can't afford something. I remember this douchebag years ago when he bought out a company that it was a pill that helped people get through a medical situation. I forgot the actual the sickness was, or the illness was, or the ailment, the medical ailment was, but the pill went from like $80, $30 to like $300 a pill and whatnot. And this guy bought the pill out, and basically a lot of people were going to suffer or die or go bankrupt because they couldn't afford the medication. I forgot the guy's name. He was a total douchebag, but sometimes, sometimes any system in any country can suck you dry, and you have to go to other countries. That's why a lot of people come to America in order for them to live a better life. And a lot of times other people go to other countries in order to get better medical, cheaper medical treatment, not always better, but cheaper medical treatment. Heck, you even have a growing number of people that will retire in third world countries. Because if you think about the future, if people can't afford to buy a house, if people's jobs aren't paying them that well, then it's going to be normal for a lot of Americans to live in third world countries in the future. I've said it 1,000 times, and I'll continuously say that. Not anti-American or anti-anything else. It's just about the dollars making sense. Numbers. Stay out of your stupid political feelings. We're talking numbers here, family. All right. But anyways, these 4 Americans were kidnapped shortly after crossing into the U.S. border earlier in this month of March. 2 survived the violent ordeal while 2 members of the group died. Unfortunately, I saw the video, and I'm not going to show it here, but these people were caught in the crossfires of allegedly two Mexican cartels fighting each other. And and in a lot of third world countries, a lot of times people, it could be Mexico, it could be in parts of Asia, Middle East, Africa, people will kidnap Westerners, not just Americans, but Westerners, in order for them to get ransom money. So this isn't an abnormal thing. The Americans were Eric James Williams, Zendel Brown, and Latavia Tay McGee, and Shahid Woodard. And they drove, it was March 3rd when they drove into Matamoros, Mexico, which is a northeastern state of Tamaulipas, just south of the Brownsville, Texas border. And shortly after crossing into Mexico, unidentified gunmen fired upon the passengers in the vehicle and then put the 4 Americans into another car and fled. The U.S. Embassy in Mexico City made this statement. All right. And Irving Barrios, the Attorney General of Tamaulipas, said the Americans were not directly targeted, and it appears that it was a misunderstanding. Mexican investigators think that the kidnappers may have wrongly believed the Americans were rival human traffickers. A source close to the investigation told NBC News. For the first time, Attorney General's office of Tamaulipas also said that on March 9th that the Mexican woman died in the incident. Arielle Pablo, 33 years old, died after being hit by a stray bullet during the kidnapping. The rescue, Williams and McGee, survived the kidnapping. They were found the morning on March 7th in a wooden house in the Lagunora area outside of Matamoros, Mexico. Officials said one of the deceased was also found inside the house, and the second was found outside the house, a source close to the investigation. The 2 Americans found dead had blankets or sheets on top of them. Source close to the investigation told ABC News. The Mexicans tried to seek medical attention for the Americans who were injured in the kidnapping. Attorney Generals said in a statement on March 9th, and they were taken into an ambulance to a clinic. And this is unfortunate. Like I said, this isn't nothing to laugh about. This isn't funny. I don't wish this on anybody. And because apparently, and apparently, one of the cartels actually rounded up the individuals who were allegedly the kidnappers, and they tied them up and placed them outside of one of the police stations within Matamoros. But the sad thing is, McGee is a mother traveled from they came from South Carolina, North Carolina, to Mexico for a cosmetic medical procedure. Her mother, Barbara Burgess, told ABC News that she spoke to her daughter on Tuesday, said that McGee had no major injuries. Michelle Williams, wife of survivor Eric Williams, said the FBI told her that her husband had been shot twice in one leg and once in the other. He has undergone surgery in a Texas hospital, she said. It's crazy. Brown, who was among the 2 killed, was on the trip to Mexico to support his friend McGee for his surgery, according to Brown's sisters, Zalaina Brown Grant. Zender was a loving son, brother, uncle, and friend, Grant wrote on a GoFundMe page. Unfortunately, our family waited for any news about my brother's return, but he won't be coming home alive. Woodard was killed. Ruger was also killed with McGee's cousin, according to McGee's mother. The bodies of the 2 Americans were taken back to the United States on March 9th. A 5th person who was traveling with the group, Shirley Orange, did not cross the border into Mexico and remained in Brownsville, Texas, according to the police report from the Brownsville Police Department. Orange did not cross into Mexico because she did not have her ID with her. And contacted the police on March 4th, the day after the kidnapping, when she could not get in touch with them. Well, that's in a sense, it was a good thing that they had an advocate waiting for them in Texas. The investigation, 5 alleged members of the powerful Mexican cartel were charged with aggravated kidnapping and murder on March 10th in connection with the kidnapping. Attorney General of Tamaulipas announced the charges the day after the Gulf cartel allegedly took responsibility for the kidnapping. The 5 men were found tied up near a pickup truck. Handwritten note was found placed on the windshield. The truck was another authors say that they belong to the Gulf cartel, the dominant organized crime group in this part of Mexico. Nor the U.S. officials have been able to independently verify the authenticity of the note. 24-year-old suspect arrested in the connection with the incident was formally indicted on aggravated kidnapping charge. The Attorney General said on March 10th, the man was allegedly acting as a lookout when authorities finally located the 4 missing Americans. This is crazy before I even go forward, and that's why it's like, no, I mean, it's not even just Mexico. Any part of the world you go to, I don't even care if you go to Paris. You know, I remember my cousin, she got robbed in Paris, France. So I don't care if you're in the UK, I don't care if you're in Spain. You always got to be careful where you go. You know, and majority, and obviously when when anybody goes to another country, majority of the time they don't have a weapon with them. So only defenses you have is your hands. But if you're outgunned, then you're outgunned. It is what it is. Because even in the UK, they take the gun laws in the UK are very serious. But you can get robbed with a knife in the New York Minute just like that. So it's a crazy thing to take into consideration. Because I don't even think most police officers in the UK don't even have guns. So that's just something to take into consideration. But it's a sad situation. I don't knock anybody, and I pray for the families. That I hope that the families get some sort of closure, and hopefully that the people who were turned over by the cartel, these were the actual individuals responsible. Hopefully the FBI in itself is able to take part in the investigation along with the Mexican authorities. FBI said that it's working with federal and international partners to determine the facts of what happened and to hold those responsible for this horrific and violent attack accountable for the crimes. Following the recovery of the victims, National Security Council spokesperson John Kirby said attacks on U.S. citizens are unacceptable, no matter where, under what circumstances they occur. We are going to work closely with the Mexican government to ensure that justice is done in this case. And it's just FBI urges anyone with information to call its San Antonio office. Okay, so they're the ones. Call San Antonio office at 210-225-6741 or submit information on its website. So that's just the gist of that. Like I said, this is a sad situation. It's unfortunate. I don't wish this on anybody, but I know that unfortunately that these things can take place, that these things can happen regardless of where you go to, in this world. So, and they went down there for cosmetic surgery. Now I know that it's very normal, especially people who are of Latino descent, or people who actually live in border states, not even just border towns, but borders. It's very normal for them, like I said, to just drive down to Mexico to get certain cosmetic surgery done, or just to get some medication, things of that nature, because it's cheaper compared to doing it in the United States of America. But you have to be, and I'm glad they had a group of people, but you have to be, one, more careful when you go to another country, and two, if you're not going to be in the tourist areas, stay the heck out of there, because some more research should have been done with these groups of people. And like I said, I'm not saying that this is right, what happened, this was absolutely wrong. Let's get that squared away. But you have to do more research in regards to where you go to these places, that check FBI advisories, check State Department advisories, and even then, it just even if they say if the threat is high, mid-level, or low, even then you just never know. I remember when a Marine, this was a long time ago, he was in California and he drove to Mexico, but he didn't realize that he was in Mexico, and I think that he got arrested for illegally. Either I think the cartel had him or the Mexican authorities had him, and they eventually got him back. But you just you got to be ready. You got to be careful. That's just what it is, especially when you don't know anybody in these countries. That's why, I've always been hesitant on traveling to a foreign country myself. I'm going to do it for the first time this year, but I'm not going anywhere special. I'm going to Canada. So, but eventually I want to start traveling around the world more. But, one, I'm not going to be doing it by myself, especially when I go to a third world country. And then two, in the tourist areas, I'm not going to be going into the in town like that, because you just never know. People are always watching you. Even in your own backyard, you got to stay ready. So the threat levels intensify even more so when you go to a foreign country. And it's not knocking a foreign country, but it's just like when people come to the United States, a lot of times immigrants are taken advantage of because they don't know the rules of engagement in the United States of America. So when somebody immigrates to any parts of Europe or Canada or Australia and New Zealand, it's easy to be taken advantage of. Great example, the movie El Norte, which means the North. these young teenagers, they left their homeland. I believe it was in Guatemala, because Guatemala had a civil war going on, if I'm not mistaken, and they went through Mexico, because they had to walk, and then they got into people's trucks, and then walked the rest of the way to get to the U.S. border so they could get to Los Angeles. And in Mexico, they got taken advantage of by one guy, because he could tell that, hey, they weren't from Mexico, at least that part of Mexico, and the guy almost got robbed, and then they got caught by immigration, and then they got sent back to Mexico, because they knew if they would have got sent to Guatemala, that they would have been killed by the authorities there. And I believe this movie was made back in the 80s, late 80s, and whatnot. But I remember watching the movie. It was a great movie. Check it out. But it just showed that, hey, even people who try to, and then when they came to, the United States, they're being taken advantage of. So no matter what, if you're not in that specific part of the world, you can be taken advantage of. Just like in America, if you move to another state, say if I leave Texas and I move to Mississippi, I don't know the landscape like that, and if I put too much trust in the people, then I can be taken advantage of. Vice versa, these things happen. So, because I know a lot of people watch this and say, "Oh, you're just trying to judge everybody and whatnot," and or you just you're being divisive and all this other crap. And when people do that nonsense, I just have to go old school Louis Gossett Jr. on them and say it like this:
No different than anyone else. No different than anyone else.
You really believe that nonsense you're saying? You really believe that nonsense you're saying?
Look at me when I talk to you. Look at me when I talk to you.
Sometimes you just got to do that when people come at you all stupid. But that's just what it is. That's all I have for today. It's a sad situation. Let me know what you think about all these situations in regards to Mack 10, in regards to Tiger Woods, in regards to the individuals. Rest in peace to the ones who died. And I'm glad that the other two are safe. That happened in Mexico, because like I said, that is no Tiger Woods situation is definitely a laughing matter, because like you do it to yourself. Like Tiger Woods is in his late 40s, like dude, you got kids, like stop. But yeah, anyways, so yeah, it's a crazy situation. What happened in Mexico, and hopefully those are truly responsible will. And I'm sure the FBI, being the FBI, will do a great job to ensure that those who are responsible will be brought to justice. So I hope that happens in a big way. But it is what it is, and life goes on. But thank you guys for tuning in. I greatly appreciate it. Like I said, I used to go live on Thursdays, but I started doing this on the week, Saturdays and Sundays now, because I just don't have as much time and energy, especially now that I've amped up my workouts. I just don't have the energy nor the time during the week, because I work a regular job, and plus I have to worry about selling my products and checking on rental properties and looking for new rental properties, wholesaling real estate, things of that nature. But it just makes it easier to get things done on a Saturday and a Sunday, because I don't have to, especially Sundays, I'm usually don't have that much running around to do, and I can just focus my time on putting the content out and things of that nature. But yeah, it's just, these were crazy situations. And if you haven't seen the movie, definitely go see the movie Creed 3. Great movie. It's nice to see that Hollywood could still make some good movies that have nothing to do with a lot of fantasy world, something that's a lot more, things that are a lot more realistic movies. I guess because I'm a real guy. I grew up watching real movies. Like I always say, the best examples when I think of real movies, I think of New Jack City, I think of Ricochet, I think of Lean on Me, I think of all the Lethal Weapon movies, I think of all Die Hard 1, 2, and 3. Usually cop movies, war movies, Black Hawk Down, criminal movies, things, mystery movies, things of that nature that are realistic, superhero, fairy tale stuff. I'm from that generation of good movies. I really am. If you think of what is it, Reservoir Dogs, if you think of Pulp Fiction, I'm into the realistic movies. So I'm not into fantasy. I know that the fantasy, living in a mythical world movies have generated more money for Hollywood, and that's what people like to see, and that's cool. But when I think of movies that I love to see realistic movies. Sometimes the military related movies, just things of that nature. So I just leave it at that. But if you haven't seen Creed 3, see it. Michael B. Jordan, the whole cast did a great job. I made a little video earlier talking about that because I finally saw it last night. and it was definitely a great thing. But yeah, the world that we're living in now, and the world that we're going to be living in tomorrow. One thing I just have to say into consideration, I want people to take into consideration is that the world that we're living in today and the world that we're going into tomorrow, it's not all about your college degree. It's about your skill sets. It's about what value you're adding. It's about how much money you can save, invest, how much you're increasing your value. What value are you not only adding to others, but to the world and as a whole? What businesses you own, the accomplishments you have, the kind of activity you engage in on a regular basis. Like even myself, I've been guilty of spending too much time doing nonsense on social media. And now this year, I want to spend more time doing stuff like this on social media, being on YouTube, being on Facebook, creating content, engaging other content creators, all this other minute, nonsense. There's nothing to do with everyday life. I'm good. That has nothing to do with my life. That's why I don't really watch the news like that, because the majority of the time, like I made a video yesterday talking about 20 great businesses in Chicago, Illinois. Did it get that many views? No, because it's something positive that's going on. Now, if I were to put on there 20 different killings or shootings in Chicago, I guarantee the algorithm would have all over the place. Okay? I'm watching it like because people love drama, people love nonsense. I'm not a guy to follow all that. It's just that's simple. That reason why Vlad TV is has blown up how it is, because it's all about talking about drama and nonsense and whatnot, getting people's story and starting beefs. One great thing that Vlad is good at beefing people and rifts between people, because he understands that, hey, that's what the people love, that's what the people want, and more people don't want to be informed, but more people just want to be entertained. It makes great entertainment, even though somebody might get put in jail or harmed. But as long as you want to watch that, then that's on you. I'm not going to knock that. But what I am going to say at the end of the day is that we're in territory, and time cannot be wasted. Okay, like the fact I went to the movie says a lot, because I've been to the movies this year in total twice this year. Now for me, that's a lot. On the movie at the Capitol, because I was just trying to kill time before I had to come back. But that was actually a good movie. And then I wanted to see Creed 3 because I'm like, oh, this looks like a man's movie, and there's not too many man's movies left anymore. So I wanted to watch it, and I'm glad I watched it. The cast was great. Michael B. Jordan did a great job, and I'll leave it at that. But at the end of the day, you travel to another country, be careful. And that's related to the Mexico story. Number two, when it comes to long-term beefs, let it go. Like, there's people that still have beefs with me, and I got no problems with them. And I'm not going to say any names, but I don't have any problems with anybody. As long as you're not trying to kill me, take money away from me, we're good. I don't need anything else from you, so I don't have beef with anybody, So anybody that's watching this, if you think I got a problem with you, trust me, I don't. As long as you're not trying to bring anybody harm to me or anybody that I love, anybody in my family, then we're good. Cool as a cucumber, as I would say. And then when it comes to time, last place, you got to watch who you can bet with, man, especially nowadays. If the pandemic didn't teach you that, I don't know what will. And with a guy like Tiger Woods, if the way he got financially, didn't take that, teaching that, then nothing ever will. Because like I said, at this point, I just think, hey, man, just leave these females alone, brother. You don't need no woman. You don't need no wife. You don't need no girlfriend. Just stay single. Stay alone. Just stop. Or if you do, every woman that you deal with from now on better sign some sort of contract that says, hey, you're not going to live with me. You're not going to get access to none of my money. Have a good time. And that's what it's going to be. Get it in legal writing. But, because getting in a relationship now in America, I think, or any other man or a woman, is more than happy that. But I'm just talking about catching something. I'm talking about being burdened with some craziness. And I'm talking about if you got advantage of. And remember, this because people can be taken advantage of. Everybody can get, hostility is a crazy big thing, and it happens on all sides of the freaking fence. So I'll leave it at that. So on that note, do the great 3 free things, like, share, and subscribe. Hopefully you guys have a great day. As I always say, make money moves, or you're gonna live broke like a fool. Enjoy your life. Don't forget, if you're a stock market investor, crypto investor, individual retirement account investor, don't forget to sign up with WEBULL, Stash, Acorns, Crypto.com, all that great stuff. You'll be able to get some because with those platforms you'll be able to make some money. With WEBULL specifically, you will be able to also you will also be able to get some free stocks. So sign up, get those free stocks, all that great stuff, and go from there, because you don't want to have these situations happen to you.
Cool.
Oh, shit! That's my fight, punk!
Because financially that can happen to you when you get into the wrong relationship, or you don't got your money right, your money tight, or when you get to a certain age and you can't really work anymore, you don't have enough saved, you don't have enough invested. These are some scary things, because one day eventually you're going to have a landlord or somebody come at you, and you're going to be like this old man in this situation.
Oh, you want something too, old man? Huh? No. Get off your ass and get in this car. Boy, I don't know.
And that's just something that's real. All right. So on that note, do the great 3 free things, family. Like, share, and subscribe. Hopefully you guys have a great day. As I always say, make money moves, or you're going to live broke like a fool. And hey, when it comes to the cards that we're dealt with in life, you got to go old school Booker T and just say,
don't hate the player, hate the game.
Mike, now.